pongo en el rincón.
Vale.
Ya está.
Probablemente en el minuto de silencio estén Alex, o sea, no, Alex, no, Santi, Jake y Bruno. Por el tema de quality. Porque nos han dicho que nos decían como que la emisión del minuto de silencio nos la darán para la carrera 3. Porque como nadie entiende muy bien cómo vas a hacer los minutos de silencio, entonces ya me ha dicho que entraremos con tu cámara a grabar,
Sí.
pero con
The anthem of Valencia is played out over the circuit here after the tragic events of recent times of the DANA. The whole community in Spanish motorsport stands together with the victims, the families, the friends, and the community, the members of the city of Valencia, very close to all of our hearts. We've obviously started various fundraising, crowdfunding opportunities to help and aid the people of Valencia. We do encourage you all to stand with us and contribute when you've got an opportunity to. It would be very, very kind and considerate of you to continue and help us in our support of the city of Valencia. The show must go on. The motor racing continues here in 2024. And of course, we continue to race in the time-honored tradition. With 2 races to go in the F4 Spanish Championship, we've got a title to decide. And there are 2 drivers left in the fight for that title. Chiara Alazzari of the United Arab Emirates and Mattia Colnaghi of Italy. 2 races to go, and the showdown is on. The championship has been building to a phenomenal crescendo over the last weekend. Now we come to the final 2 races of the year, and with this being the shorter of the 3 races, 25 minutes plus 1 lap, that means there's only 18 points available for the race winner of race 2 this weekend. That means that with a 3-point gap between Mattia Colnaghi and Chiara Marzari, the championship leader going into this race, it is impossible for the championship to be won in race 2. It has to be won in race 3. Certainly, either Chiara Marzari or Mattia Colnaghi can make it very easy for themselves by getting themselves a big points margin, but it is overhaulable with 25 points available for the win in race 3. So with only 18 points on the table for the winner this time, the champion will have to wait until race 3 this afternoon. Just 3 points now separate Chiara Marzari and Mattia Colnaghi at the top of the table. And based off yesterday's fastest laps, Griffin Peebles will be starting this race from pole position. There is James Igozzi, who managed to grab pole position in the second qualifying session for race 3 later this afternoon. So he will be starting on pole for race 3, just to add a little bit of extra spice into the mix. But this penultimate race of the season, 25 minutes plus the additional lap, should see quite a few battles. There's Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian, who lines up in 8th position on the starting grid. Will be a very tough race for him from the 4th row. But the man on pole position is the Formula Winter Series champion, Griffin Peebles of Australia. He lines up alongside Mattia Colnaghi. Down on the starting grid, Alex Garcia. Alex, the tension of this championship fight really is rising now. Just 3 points between the leading duo. How do we think this is going to play out?
Oh, Jake, if I were a betting man, I would have bet already. It's definitely spicy for the last 2 races. And of course, we have very small differences, not just in points, but also in grid placement between the 2 main candidates, or the 2 candidates that we have remaining. So, of course, it's going to look great for now, great for the last race. Remember, the championship cannot be decided now. It will only be decided in the last race of the season, which is great. It's fantastic. I love it. So, how is that going to go out? The only thing I know is we're going to enjoy it. The rest, I leave it out to these gladiators.
Well, the conditions of the circuit are actually a little bit different today compared to yesterday as well. When we got to the circuit this morning, it was foggy, it was misty, it was a little bit overcast. So the track conditions are different. Do we think then that tyre degradation is going to be less of a factor? Because after race 1 yesterday, even with 2 safety car periods, tyre degradation was really extreme.
We've always known that the Circuit de Catalunya is always a very tricky track in terms of tyre degradation. Of course, this is a shorter race and the temperatures are lower. So yes, I would expect it to be less of a problem now. But let's see how that may play, a part in the title deciding, because the last race is much later. The temperatures are going to be much higher, and of course that is going to be not just different from yesterday, but different from now. So drivers will have to change their mindset. Everything they've learned through the day will not work. So they'll have to change that thinking.
Well, it's time to focus on the race itself then, with the formation lap getting underway. Muchas gracias, Alex Garcia. Do stick around. There could be some drama to talk about in the middle of the race. But for Griffin Peebles and Mattia Colnaghi on the front row of the grid, they will now go to battle to warm up the tyres to get them to temperature. Ernesto Rivera lining up 3rd on the grid. He stands between the 2 championship protagonists, with Chiara Marzari lining up 4th on the grid ahead of Poland's Jan Piotrowski and the Spanish driver, the king of Valencia, as we have known him to be this season, Juan Cota, not just because of the hat-trick of wins he won in F4 Spanish Championship, but he also won the gold medal in the FIA Motorsport Games out of all places, Valencia. Griffin Peebles and Mattia Colnaghi then on the front row of the starting grid. Then it is Ernesto Rivera and Chiara Marzari. Then we have Jan Piotrowski lining up alongside that man we just spoke about, Juan Cota. Then James Igozzi and Andres Cardenas, René Lammers and Hudson Schwartz. Then we have Nathan Ty and Maciej Gladys, Lucas Flusha and Chris Elfagali from Adi Bansal and Matas Reiber. Gabriel Gomez alongside Tim Gerhards on the grid for the 9th row. Rounding out the top 20, Ariel Elkin alongside Renaud Francote. Then we have Lenny Rids and Adam Hideg. The British driver Chase Fernandez and Adam Alazari, younger brother of Keanu. Francesco Macedo and Oscar Wirtz, younger brother of Charlie Wirtz. Enzo Tarmanichko all the way back in 27th on the grid alongside Peter Buzinellos. Then Christian Cantu and Joan Giaconti, Alex Jacobi and Victor Dobzhansky. Then Teodor Borenstein, Lorenzo Castillo and Rafael Terran to complete the 35-car grid. Going to be a really interesting battle now for all of the contenders. They know how tricky this circuit can be at the best of times. But as Alex Garcia mentioned, it is a shorter race, this one, 25 minutes plus the additional lap. And the circuit is a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. Even for November, it is pretty warm here on this beautiful Montmello morning. But of course, that doesn't mean that tire degradation is going to disappear. It's going to be perhaps a little bit less, but it will still be an interesting factor. These races tend to be won by the driver that is able to look after the tyres a little bit more easily than their counterparts. I think we may have a driver starting the race from the pit lane as well, so we may need to keep an eye on that. But certainly not the easiest of situations for a couple of the... Oh! We've had a spin down the back straight. That's Castillo. So Castillo has spun the car on the formation lap down the back straight. He's trying to get it going again, but he doesn't want to drive straight forward because he's just going to bury the car in the gravel trap to the side of the road there. So he can't just pirouette it around. He's got to engage reverse gear. He's a smart driver. He knows that he's not going to be able to get that going again without a full pirouette because he would end up being stuck in the gravel. Well done to Lorenzo Castillo for getting it going again. But a bizarre incident. He spins on the formation lap and gets the car going. We might just be able to get going again with him forming up at the back of the grid. He was going to be starting from 34th on the grid anyway, but he will obviously now have to start from the dead last position. So hopefully he'll now be able to just take up his position as if nothing had happened at all. So we're just waiting to see if Lorenzo Castillo can actually come to the back of the starting grid. We're just waiting for that final car. The marshal has been given notification that Lorenzo Castillo is there in position. The yellow flag is waving at the back of the field because they're waiting for Castillo to come around. There he is. He will take his position. Now we're in green flags, so the race can begin. Race 2, F4 Spanish Championship at Catalonia. Away we go, and there's a couple of cars stalled on the grid, but over the front end of the field, it's the fast-starting Matti Kolnagi. One of them that hasn't moved is Griffin Peebles. So Chiara Malazzari is now going wheel to wheel with the fast-starting Juan Cota. Cota is trying to edge out Chiara Malazzari, who holds on to the inside line as the rest of the field tries to get through without incident, but all sorts of cars left down the order as a result of a chaotic start. Several cars out of race, and Griffin Peebles is one of them. I cannot believe his bad luck has continued in such a dramatic fashion as this. So Griffin Peebles barely gets a start at all as the rest of the field battles away. That's Juan Cota now up to second place and challenging Mattia Kolnagi for the lead of the race. Cota isn't in the championship fight. He just wants to win another race. But now he splits the championship protagonist. There's a little bit of damage to one of the front wings there in the top 6 by the look of it. But it's Kolnagi that leads. Cota second, Alazzardi is third. Then Rivera, Petrovsky, Ty, Cardenas, Sigozzi, Lamas and El Bagali up into 10th position. So many drivers left on the grid though. We've got so many drivers in dire straits. A lot of them were not in the position to get going again. So we've got all sorts of chaos at the back. We didn't see Griffin Peebles move, nor Hideg, nor Wirtz, nor Teran. And I'm not entirely sure a couple of other drivers didn't have problems off the grid either. So a crazy start to this F4 Spanish Championship race. But what an unbelievable situation. Looks like Maciej Gladish has gone backwards down the field as well. The Polish driver must have had a difficulty on the start as well. Several drivers were stalled on the grid. And it's yellow flags, of course. I think that could be because we've still got a couple of drivers in trouble on the opening lap. But Mattia Kolnagi now leads, trying to break the toe of Juan Cota with Chiara Malazzari and Ernesto Rivera giving chase. Then in 5th, it's Jan Petrovsky from Nathan Ty. Watch for Chiara Malazzari. He'll want to try and get up the inside of Juan Cota fairly early. Or maybe he'll just want to follow in pursuit of Cota in the hope that Cota can go after Mattia Kolnagi. But if it stays like this, Mattia Kolnagi is going to score 18 championship points. Chiara Malazzari is going to score 12. And that's going to put Mattia Kolnagi into the lead of the championship by 3 points rather than be second by 3 points. So it's critical that Chiara Malazzari can get back up the order again. Let's have a look at the start. Peebles goes nowhere. Neither does Maciej Gladish. So that is why Gladish dropped backwards down the field. Looks like neither driver could engage first gear. Gladish does eventually move, but I'm afraid to say that Griffin Peebles does not. So I would suspect that Griffin Peebles is out of this race then. He did hear safety car. So I don't think it's the only issue we've got. I think there are other problems around the circuit as well. Yes, indeed, that is a car off the racing line there. And I'm afraid to say that is the 32, I do believe, that's gone off the road. So that is going to be Wiktor Dobrzański, one of the 3 Polish drivers in this race. So Wiktor Dobrzański sadly retiring from the race by the look of it, and he is the cause of the safety car. Now, let's take stock of the situation, because Mattia Kolnagi currently runs in the lead of the race here. Juan Cota in 2nd position from Keanu Alazari, then Ernesto Rivera, Jan Piotrowski and Nathan Ty. Andres Cardenas in 7th position. But it really is going to be a tight run for this championship fight, isn't it? Especially with the pendulum very much firmly in the favour of Mattia Kolnagi at the moment. He seems to have the pace at this present moment in time. So it's all been a little bit of a pressure cooker for him as he continues on his way, but it is a really difficult situation for the contenders as the battle continues here out on the circuit. Not going to be an easy one for the drivers at this point in the proceedings, but it is definitely going to be a tight old race for our contenders. They're under safety car proceedings because of the incident for Wiktor Dobrzański. And then we've got Mattia Kolnagi and Juan Cota in the lead of the race from Keanu Alazari. Currently in 3rd position, Ernesto Rivera. And then we have Jan Piotrowski ahead of Nathan Ty, Andres Cardenas and James Igozzi. René Lammers is 9th from Mathis Reiber. Marcel Pagali in 11th in front of Hudson Schwartz. And then we've got Francisco Macedo in 13th ahead of Lucas Spusha. Gabriel Gomez ahead of Ariel Elkin. Tim Gerhardt, Adi Bansal, Renaud Francote and Alex Jacobi. Enzo Tarvanichko's made a good start. He moved up to 21st on the initial first lap then, as into the pits with some damage. Now, that looks to me like Lenny Reeds, who got into hot water yesterday, if you remember. And yes, it is Lenny Reeds. They've taken his front nose cone off because they've seen something that is more than just front nose cone damage. I wonder if he's got an issue with the front suspension, and they're trying to investigate how serious it is. But it is a very difficult situation now for the main man at the lead of the race, Mattia Kolnagi. He has the chance to take the lead of the championship here because he's going to score 6 more points than Keanu Alazari if it stays like this. And instead of being 3 points back going into the last race of the championship, he will be 3 points ahead. And then, of course, we go into the final race of the season, and whoever beats the other with 3 points or so, give or take, would be champion. But if Keanu Alazari can get ahead of Juan Cota and finish in 2nd place, then they will be a dead heat going into the final race of the season, at which point it really would be whoever beats the other in the final race of the year would become F4 Spanish champion. Such a tight end to this season's battles, but Keanu Alazari still looks hungry. We saw how feisty he got yesterday in the duel with Mattia Kolnagi. He so nearly got ahead of him. But now he's got an opportunity to try and take on Juan Cota on this restart. Cota got a terrific start, it has to be said. And he could be a bit of a thorn on the side of Keanu Alazari in this one if it all goes wrong for the young man from Dubai. We've still got some good consistent point scorers in the top 10. Rivera in 4th place, Piotrowski P5, Nathan Ty in 6th position ahead of Andres Cardenas. James Igozzi, the man who'll be starting the last race of the year from pole position after going pole in qualifying this morning. René Lammers in 9th place after not scoring yesterday. And Mathis Reiber doing a great job in 10th position. Annoyingly, that's not going to get him a championship point because in the shorter races of 25 minutes plus the additional lap, it's only the top 9 cars that score points rather than the top 10. So Mathis Reiber would need to pick off one more car in order to get what I believe would be his first championship point of the season. But there's quite a long way still to go in this one. The safety car is still out on circuit for at least one more lap. So it'll be a fascinating scenario. TWDX Lando is watching along again after yesterday. He says he can't wait to see how Mattia Kolnagi will do in his Formula Regional Racing debut at the Macau Grand Prix. You and me both, buddy. Macau is an absolute highlight of the single-seater feeder series season. For me, it's the peak race in a feeder series youngsters career, that and the Po Grand Prix. So it will be fascinating to see what happens in Macau for Mattia Kolnagi. A fair few drivers will be stepping up to Formula Regional for the first time when they go to Macau next week. Do keep an eye on that. I do encourage you to watch what is going to be one of the highlights of the single-seater calendar. All of the major players in Formula One have had at least one crack at Macau, if not winning it, certainly mastering it in terms of being able to get their car around in fairly quick nick. The Macau Grand Prix is a little bit like FIA karting. You don't have to win in it, but just getting involved and participating in it teaches you an awful lot about discipline, about poise, about racecraft, about patience, and that can really pay dividends when you go to the big show. Safety car in this lap then, as the team from Drivex are once again focused on a top position up at the front, but this time it's for Juan Cota in F4 Spanish Championship. They were watching Nikita Bedrin in Euro Cup 3 yesterday, but Cota finally looks like he's got a decent result coming his way. There is Matej Kolnagi going to be given the opportunity to scamper away and lead by example, or will Juan Cota give him a little bit more pressure? Lights out on the Toyota Supra safety car here in the racing weekend as Chiara Malazzari just makes sure he doesn't go into the back of Juan Cota under braking for the hairpin. As the rest of the F4 Spanish Championship field now wait. Matej Kolnagi now paces the field. Based on what we saw from him yesterday, you'll most likely see him drop the hammer when they go out of the next right-hand hairpin. Juan Cota needs to anticipate when he's going to go for it. Still trying to get some heat into the tyres at the moment. But when Matej Kolnagi does drop the hammer, it's all going to be on him. And now he's gone for it! So Matej Kolnagi catches Juan Cota out there. But Cota needs a good restart. Alazzani needs to attack him early. If he can get into second position, then he's got a chance of tying the championship at the end of the next 15 minutes, plus the additional lap. It's green, 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 green here in Catalonia once again. And as they go over the start-finish line, Alazzari's actually under pressure from Ernesto Rivera. Rivera's got Alazzari on a breakaway here. So if he gets into the slipstream, if he gets a good run into turn one, Alazzari is going to have to go ultra-defensive to keep Rivera back. Alazzari goes long into the apex, and that should be enough to hold him off. He does indeed, and now he's going to attack Juan Cota. He can't afford to be too defensive. He's got to go for it, to charge after Cota, to tie the championship, and then go after Matej Kolnagi. A tough race from here to the checkered flag now for sure. There is Juan Cota of the Drivex team, hoping that he can continue his incredible late season form. But he's got designs on the race win. He's not in the championship fight. He doesn't care about the championship. Neither of the drivers in the championship fight are in the same team as him. So Cota's got no incentive to help them out or hinder them. As René Lammers, by the way, gets his run on Andrés Cardenas. So René Lammers is up into 8th position past the Peruvian. Up towards the right-hand sweeper. And Juan Cota looks like he's got an opportunity here to close up on Matej Kolnagi, but Kolnagi looks so strong here at Catalonia. An opportunity here on the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. Juan Cota locks up a little bit. Chiara Malazzari just trying to read the situation if Cota locks up again. And Alazzari can get himself into second position once more. If Alazzari can just get ahead of Cota, then the championship would be dead level going to the season finale this afternoon. So that's obviously got to be Chiara Alazzari's main target. He's managed to hold off Ernesto Rivera when it counted, right into the slipstream. No DRS in F4, of course. It's all got to come down to how brave you can be in the slipstream and then the dirty air. Juan Cota definitely using the slipstream to good effect with Matej Kolnagi, who bangs in the fastest lap, a 1:44.3. That's probably not going to be the fastest lap of the entire race, but it certainly opens up the banker for Kolnagi and the rest of the field to challenge. As now Chiara Alazzari continues on his way through. Cota second, Alazzari third, then Rivera, Peszkowski, Tai, Igozzi. And then we have Lammers, Cardenas and Ryberg. Now we've got a couple of issues. We've got retirements at the moment for Rafael Terrar and Oscar Wirtz. They had problems on the start. They didn't get moving. Chase Fernandez and Victor Dobzhansky have both retired from the race. Griffin Peebles has rejoined, albeit a lap down. And outside the top 28, we've got Lenny Reed and Theodore Borenstein along with Griffin Peebles. So apparently Alex Jacobi's got a bit of a timing issue of some description. He's currently running in 22nd position though, so his fans don't need to panic too much just yet. Kolnagi leads. Kota second. Al-Azadi is third. From Rivera, Mashrovsky, Tai and Igotzi. A little bit of a lock-up from a couple of the drivers there going into the hairpin. Fortunately, everybody appears to have kept it on the straight and narrow for the time being. Certainly going to be an interesting challenge now for all concerned as they continue to find as much speed and pace as they can from these cars. But it really is going to be a tight run thing. It's going to be an interesting battle as the contenders continue to mosey on further forward. So let's see if the battles will continue in earnest. But Mattia Kolnagi leads the way at the moment from Juan Cota, then Chiara Malazzari, Ernesto Rivera from Petrovski, Tai, Igotzi, Lamas, Cardenas, Reiber and Fagali. Then Hudson Schwartz and Francisco Macedo ahead of Lucas Flusha. So some good battles as they continue on their way forward. A really exciting run. Down to the hairpin once again. Cota looks like he's got himself a really good position at the moment. So it's going to be a tough move from all of the contenders as they continue to make a good race of it. But Juan Cota has definitely gained some ground here on Matti Kolnagi. Let's see if he's going to be able to move his way further forward. A great chance opening up here for Cota, but Al-Azadi's going with Juan Cota, so I don't think Matti Kolnagi is going to have things his own way. If Cota gets into the lead, that'll be 3 points less that Kolnagi will score. So Al-Azadi's got to hope that he can either get ahead of Juan Cota or that Cota can get ahead of Kolnagi. Kolnagi, however, has the fastest lap of the race at the moment. So it all comes down to what Cota can do with his tyres, what Al-Azadi is likely to be able to do with his as well. Meanwhile, Enzo Tarmanichkal and Renaud Franco have both managed to get past the Indian driver Ari Bansal. So Bansal down to 20th position again. But this top three, even if it stays like this, we're going to have a really interesting run to the end of the victory for the championship fight. Off the final turn and down the home straight once again at the end of 7 laps of racing. An identical fastest lap overall, apparently, between Mattia Kolnagi and Keanu Al-Azadi, equal to the 1,000th of a second. We got yellow flags as Al-Azadi closes up on Cota. Cota slides under braking, really under pressure to try and go after Kolnagi, but Al-Azadi has got a run on him as they run up through turn 3. He does not need a safety car now. Keanu Al-Azadi putting pressure on Juan Cota to get into second position as they run through towards the end of the hairpin at turn 4. Safety car is what he's got. Oh, Keanu Al-Azadi so close to an attempt, and it's Cota's teammate that's gone off the road. It's Matas Reiber from what was P10. Well, that's devastating bad news. Not the least for Keanu Al-Azadi, because it's giving him one less chance to go after Juan Cota. I don't even want to think about the expletives inside Keanu Al-Azadi's helmet. In the frustration, I had lined up Juan Cota. I was going to get him on this lap. And then the safety car came out to spoil the party, to spoil the fun. That's agonizingly close. So it'll be a really interesting battle then as we get underway for the restart shortly. But for Keanu Al-Azadi, that's just frustrating. He really looked like he had Juan Cota lined up for a move. Maybe on this back straight he could have got him. But the safety car comes out at exactly the wrong moment for the man from Dubai. For Mattia Kolnagi, it's absolutely perfect because it means he's got even fewer minutes to defend his position when we restart. Juan Cota doing an excellent job in second position. There is Matas Reiber's car. You just saw it off to the left of your screen there in the gravel. So that's where he's worked his way out of position. Point scorers in this race then as a result of Matas Reiber's disappearance. Kolnagi leading the race from Cota. Keanu Al-Azadi third from Ernesto Rivera. Jan Petrovski, Nathan Fry, James Igotzi, Manny Lamas and Andres Cardenas. One position away from the points in this race is Chris Fagali. 10th position. You only get the top 9 drivers scoring points in race 2 because it's 25 minutes plus 1 lap rather than 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So Chris Fagali could really do with getting ahead of one more driver to get himself into the championship points, and that would be a great return of the hard work put in by Chris Fagali in the last couple of weekends. 11th place for Hudson Schwartz, making his debut in Spanish F4 this weekend. Then Francisco Macedo, Lucas Flusha, really has had a difficult second half to the season. In the first half of the season, he looked like he was going to be a championship contender, and it was all looking fairly dominant for him at one stage in the opening weekend at Jarama. But I'm afraid it just didn't work out according to the plans that they had at the beginning of the season. 14th for Gabriel Gomez, the Brazilian driver who races under an Italian license as part of the TC racing team. TC, of course, standing for Thibaut Courtois, the former Belgian national goalkeeper in football, who now has his own race team. Tim Gerhards, along with Ariel Elkin, the Israeli, who's had a very mixed season as far as his racing programs have been concerned. He's done everything from F4 to the Motorsport Games to American Formula 4 as well. Here he is in the Spanish Championship, finishing off the season. Expect him to step up to Formula Regional next year. So then we have Enzo Tarmanichko behind him, up to 17th place, the young Thai, who of course is the former Junior World Karting Championship. So it'll be a fascinating situation for all of the contenders. Safety car in this lap, so it's a quick clean-up. Renault Franco is in 18th place. Maciej Gladic is already back up to 19th, having had a problem at the start. So that's great work from the pole. Back into 19th again. Peter Buzanelos in 20th ahead of Ari Bansal. Then Joanne Ciconti, the only lady in the race this time. Adam Alazzari, 23rd from Alex Jacobi. Lorenzo Castillo, Adam Hideg, Lenny Reed, Christian Cantu, Theodor Bodenstein, and Griffin Peebles, who I believe is still racing, albeit a lap adrift. Matas Reiber out of the race. We're going to go restart on the safety car as the safety car is coming in this lap. So yet again, Chiara Malazzari needs to be alert here. He needs to see what Mattia Colnaghi and Juan Cota are going to do. He'll want to be as fairly close to them as humanly possible on the restart. But can Colnaghi get a perfect safety car restart for the 4th time this weekend? There goes the Toyota Supra back to the pits. Look in the background, and absolutely gone for it, Mattia Colnaghi. But look at Cota. He's so much closer to Colnaghi than in previous attempts at the restart. And even Alazzari has got Cota on the ropes now. As they come off the final turn, down the straight, Rivera's going to be hungry too. And it's green, 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 green here at Catalonia in race 2 of the F4 Spanish Championship, the final weekend of the season. Here with the second of Catalonia. Look at Cota, already hustling Mattia Colnaghi down to the first corner. Cota will want to go for it. He's not in the championship fight. He doesn't care at any point of this race about the championship ramifications. He just wants to win as Petrovsky goes to battle with an Ernesto Rivera. And I thought they banged wheels there as they went through. So Rivera and Petrovsky having a moment, and Nathan Tye looks like he's got up the middle of both of them. It's an absolute squabble for 4th position now as Britain's Nathan Tye tries to take on the Mexican Ernesto Rivera. But Chiara Malazzari is putting Cota under pressure, which in turn pushes Cota towards Mattia Colnaghi. It's absolute civil war at Campos for 4th position as Petrovsky has worked his way to 4th place ahead of Rivera and Tye. Petrovsky going wheel to wheel then with Rivera. And Nathan Tye fancies a piece of it. Igotzi and Lammers are in the mix there as well. The Red Bull driver from Florida going wheel to wheel with René Lammers. Excellent racing so far in the restart as Cota and Alazzari are much more on the ball on this restart than they were previously. Now Alazzari's really got to hunt down Juan Cota. Mattia Colnaghi's got a bit of a breathing space between them. Alazzari charging up the inside. He's got over it and he's done it. Oh, brilliant from Alazzari. But Cota is still there to the inside line. Alazzari trying to go right round the outside. Holds it. Oh, good effort, but he has to bail out of it. Gianni Alazzari fighting for every single inch of this racetrack. Now we can have another crack at Juan Cota. Off the final turn. Back in the slipstream. Back in the tow. 3 minutes plus the additional lap to go. Chiara Alazzari, if he gets ahead of Juan Cota, the championship is a dead heat going to the 3rd and final race. So let's see if Chiara Alazzari can make this happen on Juan Cota. He's not going to go for the big gung-ho into turn 1 this time. He needs to build back up to it again. But you really get the sense that Chiara Alazzari is not going to settle for 3rd place. He's going to go straight for it. Cota was not expecting a big lunge on the inside into La Caixa. So now he's got an opportunity to try and go after Mattia Colnaghi again. But I think Colnaghi's done enough here. 0.8 of a second already that he's built up. And look at the difference in racing line between Kolnagi, Kota and Al-Azadi. 3 different drivers with 3 different methods of going through that turn 4 hairpin. They all have completely different lines. There's no right or wrong answer. It all comes down to feel as to what the drivers are actually going to get out of it. But behind the top 3, Jan Piotrowski has won the battle of wits for the moment. He's in P4 and he's actually trying to chase these guys down in the hunt for position. Rivera in 5th, then Tai, Egozzi, Cardenas and Lammers ahead of Fagali and Flusha, then Macedo. Yellow flags, please don't tell us we're going to have another safety car. Not now, not when the battle's getting as good as this. Al-Azadi again attacking Kota, still yellows. Not entirely sure who it's for out on the circuit. We'll try and pick it up a little bit later on if indeed we do need a safety car. If we need a safety car now, it's game over. And Kolnagi takes the lead of the championship by 3 points to Al-Azadi. If Al-Azadi has a bit of time left in this race, he can go after Juan Kota and level the championship fight. Safety car! Well, that has well and truly decided the race. What a shame. And that is the reason why Peter Puzinelos, the Rodin Motorsport driver, the left rear is completely destroyed, and that is game over. He's already out of the car and run to safety, but it's in a dangerous position. So that's it. That's race 2. Devastating. Devastating how close we came to a real nail-biting thriller. And as a result of that, Matti Kolnagi is going to make it 2 out of 2 this weekend. And that's going to mean he will no longer be 3 points back in the championship fight. He will be 3 points ahead in the championship fight because he'll gain 6 points on Keanu Al-Azadi, his main championship rival. Just how significant would that have been if Keanu Al-Azadi had been just the tiniest bit more aggressive on Juan Kota, and Kota would have just had to back down a little bit more. If Al-Azadi had got through in a 2nd place, we'd be going into the last race of the championship with a dead heat. So this championship fight is going to the wire. And now we have a new championship leader. It's going to be Matti Kolnagi. Time runs down to 0 with the safety car out. And it's only just been called, which means we will not get a green flag finish. And as Skyline writes on the YouTube stream, safety car at the worst moment ever. I'm afraid I can't disagree. We were robbed. We were robbed of a truly incredible race finish there. I think both Kota and Al-Azadi would have given us an amazing last lap duel. But we'll never know. We'll never know if Al-Azadi could have got there into 2nd position or not. We'll never know if Kota could have stepped up the attack and gone for Matti Kolnagi himself. What this means, of course, is that in race 3, all bets are off. Whoever beats the other is going to be the champion. If we've got Kolnagi versus Al-Azadi for the race win, there's a 7-point difference between 1st and 2nd. And with 3 points between them, that means whoever beats the other to the victory in race 3, if indeed they are going to battle for the victory, it's going to be whoever comes out on top wins the championship. And of course, James Egozzi will be the man on pole position. And as TWDX Lando points out on YouTube, it's going to be all or nothing for Al-Azadi in race 3. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a few more dive bombs like he did on Kota there. He's got the confidence to do it. He just doesn't want to risk anything that he doesn't have to. He genuinely felt like he had the chance there on Juan Kota, and he certainly did. He was millimeters away from finishing off that move. If he had just been slightly closer to Kota in the braking zone prior to that dive bomb, I think he'd have got him. And then we'd be talking about the 2 championship leaders dead level on points. As it is, though, Matti Kolnagi is going to be 3 ahead of Keanu Al-Azadi. He will take the lead of the championship going into the final race of the season. The rookie driver, the Italian with Argentine roots, is going to have an amazing chance to win the championship. Who would have thought that coming into the weekend? He had an opportunity to close up on his main protagonist, Keanu Al-Azadi, but Al-Azadi had a clear lead coming into this one. And now, all of a sudden, it's now in Matti Kolnagi's favour. It suddenly becomes his championship to lose. Well, as always this weekend, we stand with the community of the city of Valencia. If you are feeling particularly generous and if you're feeling as affected by the issues as we all are on the team here at the F1 Spanish Championship and in the paddock, then do please assist us, do please help us. We've got our crowdfunding initiatives that are on our social media pages. It's a very heavy start to the weekend to have got that particular news through, but of course the whole community in the F1 Spanish Championship has rallied together to assist. A couple of the teams, of course, were badly affected because a couple of the teams do have their base at Valencia. So it's something that has not just affected us by being in the same country. A couple of the teams are obviously part of that community as well. So it's particularly poignant. The race will be behind the safety car to finish. And so Mattia Kolnagi will take the race victory. A fascinating situation right to the end of the season. The last race of the year will be the race that decides the championship. A couple of comments and questions coming in on our YouTube stream. A fabulous situation to end the season. Diego Izaguirre is watching along and says, Mattia, always P1, the road to F1, brother. That's a big endorsement. It's going to be really exciting. And TWDX Lando points out that Mattia and Chiara are actually going to be starting, I think, on the third row of the grid together. So it'll be points they pick up, not the win in race 3. And so it's going to be about who beats the other, who gets the most out of the race. 12 Carl writes on YouTube, Jake, do you remember Taylor Barnard? Remember him? I was commentating on him at the start of the year when he was in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Now, of course, permanent driver for McLaren in FIA Formula E. His season starting in 3 weeks' time. Can't wait for that. Going to be really exciting to see how he moves his way forward. But, of course, he came through the world of F4 and worked his way forward to the peak of the sport. How many more of the drivers on this grid will get to do the same? Certainly the man in the lead of the race will get 2 out of 2 so far. And may I say, Mattia Kolnagi, you have turned your season around. The rookie is now the championship leader. 2nd race win of the weekend. 6th race win of the season. And now Mattia Kolnagi leads the championship by just 3 points. He was 3 points behind. Now he's 3 points ahead. 1 race to go. It's an anticlimax of a finish, but it's certainly not an anticlimax to the end of the season, as Mattia Kolnagi now becomes the new championship leader of 2024. Juan Cota is going to be 2nd. Now, hang on a second. Keanu Elizardi has been removed from the timing screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. I think there may be a glitch. I don't want to confirm anything. I don't know if he's got a penalty or not, but according to my timing screen, he's showing up in 19th. Now, that is not correct as far as I'm aware of it to be, unless he's picked up a penalty somewhere. If he has picked up a penalty somewhere, then that would be the reason why. He crossed the line in 3rd. Hang on a minute. Has he been given a 5-second penalty? I wonder if he's been given a 5-second penalty that we don't know about, because that would seem to make sense if that's the case. I think he's got a 5-second penalty, you know. And if that is the case, then this is going to be an even more dramatic conclusion than we first thought. Because if Keanu Elizardi has a 5-second penalty, he's going to drop out of the points. Right, well, hold your horses. Let's not confirm anything. But at the moment, on my timing screen, it says that Keanu Elizardi finishes 5.8 seconds back, not 0.8 of a second back. Now that would add 5 seconds to his race time. But I'm not seeing anything on race control. I'm not seeing any messages to confirm that. All I'm seeing is that the race will finish behind the safety car. I don't see any penalties being handed out to Keanu Elizardi. So I don't know what the situation is, but it looks as though he's come through in 19th place. Has he been given a track limits penalty that we don't know about? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, confirmation, confirmation. He has indeed been given a track limits penalty. Oh my goodness. The championship fight just went nuclear. Keanu Elizardi does not score points. A 5-second penalty added to his time. And so that means that the podium is going to be Mattia Kolnagi for the win, Kota 2nd, Vashrovsky in 3rd. Keanu Elizardi with a track limits time penalty does not score points in the penultimate race of the season. Can you believe it? And that means that Mattia Kolnagi goes from being 3 points behind to 15 points ahead. I cannot believe it. Win number 6 for Mattia Kolnagi. And now it looks like he has the championship destiny in the palm of his hands. Oh my goodness. It couldn't be more dramatic if you tried for it. It's been a dramatic race right from the start. What could Griffin Peebles have done in this race that he actually found a gear? Maciej Gladish also had a pretty difficult start. He made up a lot of ground, to be fair, back up to 17th for Gladish. But Keanu Alazadi fought tooth and nail with Juan Cota for the second place, but it wasn't to be for the young man from Dubai. It looks as though he's been given a penalty for exceeding track limits. And as a result of that, he will not score points in the penultimate race of the season. And so not only does Mattia Kolnagi take the lead of the championship, but he does so by 15 points, with only 25 available in the last race of the year. My goodness me, the drama could not be bigger. There was the big move from Keanu Alazadi diving in on Juan Cota. But he was running the gauntlet on track limits prior and after that, by the look of it. So he has been handed a 5-second time penalty for infringing track limits. It means he is classified 19th, not 3rd. I cannot believe it. Mattia Kolnagi has just been informed of the situation down in pit lane, and now he can breathe a little easier going into the 3rd and final race of the weekend. He now knows that he's got a 15-point lead with 1 race to go. 6 wins this season as well. You couldn't write this. You couldn't script it. It would be thrown in the bin as unbelievable. These things have to happen in motor racing, and certainly in the F4 Spanish Championship, boy oh boy, has this turned nuclear. Well, you've got a feel for Keanu Alazadi. The penalty at this stage of the season couldn't be any more dramatic. But certainly for Mattia Kolnagi, the Italian, it gives him a chance to wrap up this championship with a lot less pressure on his shoulders than he would have liked going into race 3. Jan Piotrowski inherits 3rd position, but that's not going to be the big talking point going into this one. This could well be the championship that got away from Keanu Alazadi. What a dramatic end to the season. It's so much harder when you know both of these young drivers personally. You know how hard they work. You know how much effort they put in to be champion. And for it all to be turned on the dial of a 5-second track limit penalty when the whole field is under safety car, that's cruel. But at the same time, that's motor racing. If the roles would have been reversed, it would have been exactly the same amount of drama. If Kolnagi had been given the track limits penalty rather than Alazari, we would have said that's not fair either. Tough either way. Alex Garcia has found our race winner, Mattia Kolnagi. Unbelievable.
Mattia, you were saying in the qualifying, let's not get too excited. I have to tell you, another race win, and I don't know if you've heard the news, but Keanu has a time penalty, so championship-wise, this is not just any win. This is the win of the year for you.
Yeah, obviously quite happy with the win. And yeah, championship-wise, this is very good. Mathematically, it's not over yet, so once again, I will not get too excited. Yes, but yeah, for sure, very helpful and another win, so I'm not complaining.
How was the race? Talk us through it, because you were under pressure for most of it.
Yeah, Juan obviously had a very good race pace, especially in the start. So yeah, I was able to keep it calm, and obviously the dirty air here in Barcelona is quite effective. So he wasn't never really close enough to make the move apart from the first laps. And yeah, was able to hold up the pressure, and let's see how it goes in race 3.
Now for race 3, very different starting position and the importance of tire degradation, longer race, hotter temperatures. How do you face that?
I think, to be honest, I've been quite good in the race pace, quite good at managing the tires, especially in the end, also yesterday with Keanu. So yeah, I think I just need to keep doing what I'm doing right now and we'll be good.
All right, congratulations, enjoy your win, and good luck for the next one.
Thank you very much.
So spoke the race winner for race 2 here in Barcelona. That was a wild race, a wild script, and as we were hearing here, that street would have thrown in the bin for being unbelievable. And what a bad fortune that Keanu Al-Azari had, because that was the worst timed penalty ever. Because if we hadn't had any safety car at the end, he wouldn't have lost all those points. But you know, so that's how motorsport goes, and that's how this season seems to go away. But anyway, as Mattia Colnaghi was saying, one race left still, things can happen, so let's see how that develops.
Very true. Thank you, Alex Garcia. Unbelievable scenes down here in the pits at Catalonia. We have one race still to go in the F4 Spanish Championship, but it couldn't be any more dramatic. A time penalty that ruins Keanu Al-Azari's championship fight. Who would have thought it going into the final race of the season? Mattia Colnaghi now has a 15-point advantage. All he's got to do is finish 5th or better, and the championship is his no matter where Keanu Al-Azari finishes. The pressure is decreased, but as Mattia Colnaghi himself said, it's certainly not off. One race to go this afternoon. Make sure you tune in. The Euro Cup 3 season finale is coming up very quickly, but the F4 Spanish Championship will go down to the wire. Mattia Colnaghi versus Keanu Al-Azari. One race left this afternoon.